Hello everybody, and welcome back to the patio. Today we're doing something really special. This recipe is dear to my heart. It has been in my family for generations, and today I'm going to share it with you. Now I've added my own smoked twist to it over the last couple of years, but you can just do it in the oven like they do. So one of the best things about family recipes over generations is they always bring the family back to the table where you get to spend time with your family, which you may not get to see very often. These recipes are important. Sometimes, in particular, this recipe is about special events, special times, whether it's holidays, birthdays, just family gatherings. This recipe is something that my family knows when you say the word ham balls, that they're gonna get something super special made with a ton of love. In addition, most people have never tried ham balls. It's kind of a Midwest type of recipe. It's got some basic ingredients. We're gonna use the smoker as an oven today. We are gonna put a little smoke on these ham balls originally, which is my smoked portion of this recipe. The recipe is actually just cooked in the oven at about 350 degrees. So let's get started. I'm gonna chop up some onion and we're gonna grind some different meats and we're gonna make ham balls. So today we're gonna be smoking these ham balls on a Kamado, and we're gonna be using pecan wood, just a chunk of it, to add that kind of nutty smoked flavor to the ham balls. You could use mesquite or even hickory if you want a stronger smoke flavor, or you can tame it down and use a fruit wood like apple or cherry. We're gonna be smoking these at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour, or until an internal temperature of about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So now we're gonna start with the grinding and the prepping. So we're gonna use 1.5 pounds of ham. We're gonna use 1.25 pounds. I like to use pork butt because it has a fattier consistency, keeps the ham balls moister, and they don't dry out so bad. We're gonna use 1/2 pound of your favorite ground sausage. Now, you're welcome to just buy all of this ground at the grocery store because it's convenient for a lot more people, and a lot of people don't have a meat grinder. We're using the old KitchenAid meat grinder. We're gonna grind this meat through a 1/4 inch hole first, and then we're gonna regrind it to a finer than the coarse so that it's more consistent. Then we're gonna mix in 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs, and then 1/2 cup of onion, 2 eggs, and 1/2 cup of milk. We're gonna mix it all together. We don't wanna over mix it and have it start breaking down, but we want it mixed well and consistent, okay? So we're gonna start by grinding up our pulled pork first, and this will take a little bit, but we'll fast forward it and get through this whole process into the second grind. But I wanted to show you how it looks on the coarse grind, similar to hamburger, but a little bit thicker grind than hamburger. Now we're going to head and start grinding our ham. I cut it in tiny blocks so that we don't used to have a plunger to push it down in. It just drops into the grinder auger and comes out. And again, it looks a little bit different. It looks kind of like hamburger. This is obviously a cooked ham, so we're just going to keep grinding it up. And this is our coarse grind. In our fine grind, we're going to go ahead and add our ground sausage, which has already been ground at the butcher. So we're going to add it all in so it kind of mixes well together, and we'll catch you in a few seconds. Okay, so now we're going to take our 1/4 inch plate off of our meat grinder, and we're going to put a smaller plate on. Here's the 1/4 inch plate. We're going to put this 1/8 inch plate basically on, and then we're going to do the second grind, and we're going to do it with the ground sausage also, a little bit at a time. You'll see it go a little here, a little there, little pork, little ham, so we can get kind of a good mix on it before we mix all the ingredients together and get that nice mix that's consistent but not overdone. All right, so here we go. And what I do is I typically just make a small ball like this, and I put it down the chute, and then it'll start coming out as a fine grind. And this is kind of what you see in relation to like a hamburger patty. A lot of people do a fine grind on a hamburger patty. And if it gets stuck, just use the plunger, kind of push on it, let it, don't put pressure, just let it flow down. And we're gonna add a little sausage to get the mix in, and then I'll finish this up and we'll get to mixing and building ham balls. Okay, so we're almost done with our second fine grind. I wanna let you know that one of the tips and tricks is to take that first grind and go put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes. And the second grind will work much better. It doesn't become too sticky. And that way it looks more clean, more uniform, just like this right here. Perfect grind. We're getting ready to go do our mix. So now we're gonna whisk these eggs together, get them kind of stirred up, and then we're gonna put them in with the ground meat and onions and 1/2 cup of milk. And we're gonna mix it real well. We'll set that to the side. We're gonna add about 1/2 cup of onion. I actually like a little more than that, but the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of onion. And then we're gonna do half a cup of milk. We're gonna go ahead and just mix this all together. And we don't wanna over mix it, over stir it. We want it consistent with onion flavor throughout and the egg. And then we're gonna go ahead, once we get this slightly mixed, we're gonna go ahead and add our 1.5 cups of plain breadcrumbs. And we're just gonna put that in there and finish mixing so it's consistent but not over mixed to where it kind of just falls apart. So we're gonna mix this all in, and then our next step will be building ham balls. We'll see you then. So now we're gonna make ham balls at about 2.5 inches in diameter. We wanna make sure they all are about the same size and very consistent. That way they all cook at the same time. We're gonna place them here in a disposable pan, and then we'll put them on a smoker. Now one thing you can do is if you would rather have a loaf, you could do this as a loaf, as a ham loaf, I guess you could call it. We do want to make this consistent instead of ham balls, and it would taste just as good. The glazing would be a little bit different on top because you get a little more glazing on the balls over a loaf. That's why I prefer the ham balls over a loaf. But we want to make sure they are consistently about the same size. We're just going to keep going so you guys have plenty of. We're going to get about 9 in this pan, and we'll do another pan in a little while. So now we're gonna take this pan and we're gonna put them in the smoker, in the Kamado with pecan wood smoke for about an hour. We're gonna probe them in about 30 minutes and see where they are, but we want a temperature of about 180 degrees. At that point, we're gonna pull them out and then we're gonna put a glazing on. So while these are smoking for the next hour, we're gonna go ahead and make our glazing. I'll see you there. So we're letting the ham balls smoke while we go ahead and make the glazing. We're gonna use a half a cup of water, half a cup of white vinegar, and teaspoons of ground mustard, and we'll mix it all together. And then when the ham balls are at 180 degrees internal temperature, we're gonna pour these over the top. We're gonna bring the grill up to 350 degrees and let it finish out for about 30 minutes. All right, so we have ham balls at 180 degrees internal temperature. We're gonna go ahead and put this glaze on, and that's gonna bring that sweetness and then that tangy kind of vinegar counter to it with the mustard powder. And then we're gonna put it back on the smoker at 350 degrees and let this kind of get gooey, sticky goodness for about another 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm gonna pull one of these out and we're gonna slice this right open and show you what a ham ball looks like on the inside. It's beautiful, it's tender, it's juicy, has that great glazing on it that's, you know, sticky and sweet and savory. I'm gonna have a little bite. So good, very good. So these ham balls are done. This is one of my family's old traditional recipes. So I put the smoky twist on this a couple years ago, and that's proof that you can take a family tradition, keep it alive, and keep it evolving. Look, if you give this recipe a try, let me know how it goes in the comments. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more barbecue ideas. So until next time, keep your fire hot, your food delicious, and your friends close. See you next time.